the next generation of lifestyle awareness that will transform your life significantly. Hi, welcome to Living Wow Out Loud. I'm your host, Callie Ray, founder of the Living Wow Center and author of the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. Living Wow is a lifestyle of choice and intention that was born from the truth that, number one, your body is designed to heal if you give it the environment to do so. Number two, you don't need a label or permission to be the expert in your own body. And number three, more than 80% of all diseases can be prevented or reversed by lifestyle. Unfortunately, this isn't what we're taught in our standard American diet and lifestyle culture. This podcast is a voice of hope and community where you will learn how to live a life of thriving that honors and embraces those three truths. Though you are an individual, you are not alone, and you can thrive living wow too. Start here, where you are. Lifestyle changes can be so overwhelming that most people won't even begin. We rationalize it's not a good time. I have blank coming up, a holiday, birthday, event. It's too hard. I don't have that kind of willpower. What will people think? My family won't do it. Unfortunately, in my experience, most people will live in either the river denial or on someday aisle until something brings an unpleasant reality and needed perspective at a level of desperation that necessitates a lifestyle change. I'm no exception. I was living with chronic pain and obesity and didn't even realize how limiting it was because I was just surviving. It was normal. Everyone has pain. Everyone is overweight. Everyone is exhausted. It's part of getting older. Until I had a wake-up call with a bonus baby. I realized that given my family health history, I had a very good chance of having a premature death at worst and a really crummy quality of life at best. I realized that this baby deserved to have a mother and her children deserved a grandmother. I had purposely had my children when I was young, ages 22 and 25, because I was the bonus baby who had no living grandparents and a widowed mother when my dad died when I was 16 years old. I had the old parents being the baby by 15, 13, and 9 years. I believed that if I had my children young, I would beat the odds and be the young parents. My plan worked flawlessly, and my health followed the path of my parents until I really followed the path of my parents and had a baby 11 years later when I was 36. As I approached my 40th birthday with a 3-year-old, I was desperate to get off Sunday aisle and out of the river denial. When you're ready, the teacher will appear. This was the beginning of my transformation and ironically the catalyst for change that carried me through my autoimmune journey, which you can read about in my book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. I've also recorded the book on the bonus episodes here on the podcast. And if you want to meet my bonus baby, Jenna, she is on the episode 10. You can hear her perspective of life growing up living wow. So today, I want to get you out of the river and off of the aisle. Don't wait for a crisis. Unfortunately, so many wait until it's too late, like my dad, and never get a second chance. Use someone else's crisis if you need motivation, or use my crisis if you need to. Just get out of the sad life before it's too late. So that sounds very dramatic, but what you're hearing is my passion and absolute knowledge that there is a better way and it is so worth it. It's so much better to have vitality and energy than pain and fatigue. It's so much cheaper to eat whole foods, even the expensive ones, than prescription medications, medical procedures, and surgeries. Maybe you can't prevent it all, but what if you do? What if you just prevent heart disease or diabetes? What if you can eliminate half of your meds? What if you get to see your grandchildren grow up and can take them to Disneyland and keep up? Let's say you're ready to give it a go. We're getting off someday aisle. Where do you want to start? Well, I say let's start where you are because that's the only way I know. You have to get real with where you are because you can't change something you're not aware of. Step out of the river denial and take inventory. The best way to measure where you are is with blood work, assessments, weights, and measures. Honestly, in my opinion, how you feel and taking personal inventory is far more important, but it's not very objective. You can't argue with blood work and assessments, but they can be expensive and intrusive, so many people forego them for easier at home management of weights and measures. I don't care where you start, but it is important to know where you are when you do start because it will help you determine what might be the most important wow factors to focus on. It also is very rewarding to look back on how far you have come. An effective strategy to begin a new behavior and have it become a new habit is to replace it with something else. If you try to just eliminate or change a behavior, it's very difficult. But if you introduce a new behavior with the intention of replacing the old one, then you're much more successful. Every time you trigger for the old behavior, you replace it with the new behavior, and you do it repeatedly until it becomes the desired effortless behavior. It's then a new pattern. That's momentum. You crave what you eat. In the beginning, I replaced my vitamin regime with my Juice Plus. Why vitamins are not effective and whole food nutrition is so much more effective is another episode, and I'll get to that later. But if you already have the habit of taking vitamins daily or maybe even prescription medications, then you can just add Juice Plus in, and what happens as a side effect is metabolic programming. Because you are eating more fruits and vegetables, your body recognizes it as fruits and vegetables, and you begin to crave more fruits and vegetables, even though it's powdered produce in a capsule. I've really seen it with more vegetables, and I think that that's because people tend to naturally eat more fruit because they taste better than vegetables. But in my own personal experience with myself and my family, as well as my customers, I hear all the time that they are craving more whole foods. That's the easiest way to hack that change so that you're not necessarily having to cut out processed food, but your body will naturally start craving the better whole foods. Second, to hack the actual foods that you're eating, you have to take inventory and recognize where you are. Do what you will do and start with the things you like. Pizza's a big thing in our house. It's my go to meal when I'm tired, if I'm stressed, if I've had a long day. When my give a damn is busted, I go to pizza. So the way that I made my substitution was to begin ordering more vegetables on my pizza. I took off the processed meats and I put on the fresh vegetables. And just by doing that, pizza's still not a health food, but it's a better choice. And I'm getting more whole food and getting less processed food. Maybe pizza's not your thing. Maybe it's hamburger. And instead of having just a plain cheeseburger, maybe you start adding more veggies on it. You make sure it has fresh lettuce and tomato. Or for you, maybe it's grilled onions or mushrooms. Maybe for you, it's a lettuce wrap instead of a bun, depending on where you are at and how you want to kick it up a notch. My husband, for example, has been eating well for a long time now because it's become our normal, but we can still improve. He's working hard to eat less processed grains, so he's using lettuce instead of buns to get more of the produce in and less of the processed carbs. Look where you're at, and maybe it's just adding lettuce and tomato to your burger, or maybe it's where I'm at. I totally take off the burger and replace it with a grilled portobello mushroom as my burger. There are all sorts of different things you can do, but the key is not necessarily what you do, but that you do it. Start where you're at and look at a particular meal that you would eat, and then figure out how you would tweak that meal. Then plan accordingly. That leads to hack number 3, because obviously I can't make a portobello burger if I don't have any mushrooms. Likewise, I can't make a cheeseburger if I don't have cheese, buns, or burgers. I have to go to the grocery store. So at that point, I make my choice. Am I going to do sad or am I going to do wow? If that's what's in my house and that's what I've already planned, then I've already made that substitution. And I'm not just eating a bunch of foreign foods that I can't stand or I've never tried. Instead, I'm eating my comfort foods and the regular foods that I enjoy, but I've made them a little more fresh. I've eliminated the processing. Whether it's taking out a processed meat, whether it's taking out a processed bread, whether it's getting away from the dyes and chemicals, it just depends on where you're at and what it is. Just make a substitution that gets you closer to the earth and farther from the factory with your meal planning. Which leads me to my final hack for now: planning ahead. Meal planning and stocking your pantry with whole foods rather than boxes, bags, and cans is ultimately where the change from sad to wow occurs. Realize that different family members may have different substitutions. The key is not to take away everyone's favorite foods, but rather to bring them a little closer to whole foods. I found that monthly meal plans with everyone's input makes for a successful wow menu. When I don't get around to it, even though it's quite normal for us to eat wow and the house is stocked accordingly, we order that pizza and takeout way too often. Maybe that's just us, but we all notice a difference when we plan a monthly menu together as a family. It's magic. So that's my secret to wow life. Start where you're at. Take inventory and get real. Why is it important for you to get out of the sad life? What's at stake for you if you don't make a change? I guarantee you it's more than you realize. Consider adding Juice Plus as a foundation to your whole food nutrition and to help you get into the whole food metabolic programming. I'll make sure there's a link to Juice Plus in the show notes. Make small substitutions, adding in more whole foods into the food you already love and eat. Make the choice at the supermarket by clearing your house of some boxes, bags, and cans and stocking the pantry, refrigerator, and freezer with more whole foods. Finally, plan ahead using what you've stocked and planned for so that you're having fun and enjoying your delicious whole foods and not defaulting to convenient automatic foods. In the Supercharged program, the menu, measurements, and hacks are all plug and play for you with 10 days of support to get some of the traction getting off of someday aisle. Momentum and support go a long way on the journey to thriving. Hey, if you find value here on the Living Wow Out Loud podcast, will you please share it with your friends and take a minute to rate it on the platform that you're listening on? That's how we live wow out loud. You know that more people need hope and they need the messages shared. And that's how we get recognized among all the noise. This is where you find your voice. Will you please share and subscribe and rate so that we can grow? After my personal transformation from surviving to thriving with autoimmune diseases, I was completely astounded that the experience was not what I expected it to be. Instead of resenting my body and being forever trapped with a legacy of bad genes, as I had believed would be my fate, I looked and felt 20 years younger. I had dropped weight that had plagued me for decades, eliminated chronic pain that no doctor, therapy, or medicine could relieve, and found energy that I hadn't had since I was 16 years old. Because this is not what I expected, and because I wish someone would have told me that there is another way than sad, I wrote the book, 8 Lessons Lupus Taught Me from Surviving to Thriving with Autoimmune Diseases. As I began to share the book and the message of change your story, Living Wow was born. After years of continuing to learn and study how and why lifestyle has such an impact on disease and the world being torn apart by a global pandemic, I can't stand by any longer keeping it to myself. You have to understand that the power is in your hands. The power is in your body. The power is in your lifestyle. The Living Wow Center is a holistic wellness practice that utilizes the framework of the Living Wow lifestyle to identify system failures or maintenance needs. Whether you just need a tune-up or a complete systems overhaul, we support you as an individual to get back out on the journey and living wow. We will work with you to determine levels of function, needs, tools, resources, and or providers that may be best equipped to guide you as you step out of the negative health cycle and turn it into a positive health cycle. The Living Wow Center offers a revolutionary, comprehensive approach to healing, coaching, and support that is necessary in our complex, sad world. Schedule your complimentary consultation today to see how Living Wow can support you. I'm super excited to announce Supercharge for you. We are changing the name of the Living Wow Challenge to more clearly represent the monthly support program where you take Living Wow for a 10-day spin. I know 10 days doesn't seem like much, but it is, and that's why it's now Supercharge. Living Wow Supercharge is a 10-day supported focus on eating a clean, nutritionally dense diet with intention as you jumpstart into the Living Wow lifestyle. You will feel lighter, more energetic, and empowered with your nutrition. You will experience the power of nutritional healing with less pain, more energy, and a better mood. The Supercharge includes a comprehensive 10-day seasonal menu, recipes, videos, quick start guides, and links to resources. You begin with a prep, then daily support, and wrap up with a review. This is the fastest, most immersive way to get started and feel the effects of Living Wow now. Right now, go to livingwowcenter.com. That's livingwowcenter.com to sign up now for the next Supercharge running the 1st to the 10th of the month. Early sign up ensures you a spot and gives you time to complete your preparation assignments as you gear up to Supercharge. Wow, you just finished another episode of Living Wow Out Loud. I hope you leave today empowered to live your best life and thrive. If you're ready to jump in and learn a little bit more about Living Wow, come check out the Living Wow Center. That's livingwowcenter.com. And maybe consider joining our next Living Wow Challenge. We run the 1st to the 10th of every single month. See you soon.